Okay. All right. Good evening, everyone. It's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the Utilities Service Board meeting to order. As a reminder, our City of Bloomington Utilities mission is to enhance the quality of life in our community by providing safe, sustainable, and high-quality drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater services in a cost-effective manner, promoting public health, economic vitality, and environmental stewardship. And as a reminder, if any board member has any personal or financial conflict with any issues or individuals on the agenda, then please be sure to recuse yourself during those portions of the meeting. Our first item on the agenda is petitions and communications. Do we have any comments from the public? Hearing none. We have approval of our minutes from a previous meeting. First, we had a bid opening on December 2nd. I'd like to add a note to include the engineer's estimate in those minutes in the amount of $7,895,000. Are there any additions, corrections, questions to the bid opening minutes besides the addition of the engineer's estimate in the amount of $7,895,000? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the bid opening minutes? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on December 2nd. Are there any questions or corrections? Yes.
Both myself and Seth are listed as present and absent.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any others? Hearing none? Okay, yes. Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the December 2nd minutes with the correction? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have approval of the claims, first starting with standard invoices in the amount of $786,253.06. Are there any questions? I had a question on page 2. We bought a new truck from Curry, and I was just wondering, what is that truck for? And if you have an approximate, how many vehicles do we have in our fleet? Well, like this was like a Chevy Silverado, so like.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how many
Okay.
vehicles we have in the fleet. This is a Silverado that is kind of a shop truck that the people in supply use.
Okay.
And then we also use it to plow the parking lot when it snows.
Great. I hope it doesn't get much use for that
Yeah,
this
exactly.
winter. Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any other questions about the standard invoices? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have utility bills in the amount of $234,539.74. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have wire transfers in the amount of $610,874.17. Are there any questions? You know I'm going to say it. We have our credit card fees of $32,418.47. I bet we'll probably have one more month of those to close out 2024. And then I'm so excited that those will be off our books. And thank you again to your team for getting that credit card fee set up and off our list. So thank you. If there are no further questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve the wire transfers? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Finally, we have customer refunds in the amount of $2,587.58. Are there any questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, we have approval of the consent agenda. Catherine Zager.
Good evening, I'm Catherine Zager, Utilities Director. I'm presenting tonight's consent agenda totaling $1,860 for non-chemical contracts. And if it's all right with the board, I am going to just list off our one non-chemical contract.
Yes, thank you.
That contract is with Spartan Mechanical LLC for $1,860 to remove and replace an actuator for an air scour on filter 3 at Monroe. Is there any member who wishes to consider one or more of these items individually? Hearing none, if there is no opposition, these items will be approved as recommended by staff. Hearing no opposition, the consent agenda is approved.
Thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda is the request for approval of a memorandum of understanding between the City of Bloomington Utilities and the City of Bloomington Engineering Department for payment of construction fees related to the Winslow, Rogers, Allendale, Sayre resurfacing project. Caden Swanson.
That is quite a mouthful. Hi, Caden Swanson, Utilities Engineer. I'm seeking approval for an MOU with engineering for the construction of a rain garden as part of the resurfacing project on Winslow for a not to exceed of $54,000. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for Caden? Yes, Amanda.
So it's a pretty big stretch there, but we're talking about between Allendale and, where is this rain garden proposed?
So it's west of Xavier and east of Abbey. So it's just before the roundabout if you're heading east.
Yes, so up the top of the hill?
At the bottom of the hill.
Oh, at the bottom of the hill?
Yeah, as you're coming down the hill is where it's going to be.
So how is that going to affect traffic into the roundabout?
It's within the right-of-way, so it won't affect traffic at all.
Okay. And this is going to help with the flooding that happens in that area, or?
It'll really help mostly with water quality. That's generally what rain gardens will do, but it will provide an element of some water detention as well, but not nearly as much as water quality.
And
There are
then-
other infrastructure improvements planned along as part of this. The rain garden is just what CBU would be paying for.
Okay. And do you know when that project's supposed to start, or is that, you don't know, because it's
I don't know off
part
the
of the
top of my
it's
head.
part of the city's?
I think they just bid it today. I think they just opened bids, so I think early '25 is my guess, but not fully sure.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Other questions for Caden? I do have a question, and maybe this is something that I should already know. But, so they're doing this resurfacing, and putting in this rain garden is just like a bonus that we can tag into. It's not something that would be required of this project anyway, due to like our regulations for that, correct?
Right,
Okay, so we're just
exactly.
tagging on, hey, here's an opportunity when we're already doing the resurfacing.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Engineering's been really great about including us in these conversations early and saying, hey, you guys, maybe we could put a rain garden here or some other form of green infrastructure. So they've been really on top of that. It's been good to work with them on this.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Caden. All right, stay there. Next, we have a request for approval of agreement for services with GRW Engineering, Inc. Caden.
Caden Swanson, Utilities Engineer. I'm seeking approval for $61,000 for engineering consulting services with GRW Engineering for the 2024-2025 lining service project. Excuse me.
Questions for Caden? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have request for approval of Resolution 2024-18 for bid acceptance and contract award for the Dillman Road wastewater treatment plant site safety and process improvement. Mark Menifee.
Mark Bittifee, a utility engineer, just seeking approval of a resolution 2024-18. And this is approval, acceptance of the bids that we received on December the 2nd. Those bids have been reviewed for responsiveness, and Kokosing Industrial is the contractor that is the lowest bid and most responsive. And we are would like to accept the bid, or the base bid, along with alternate number 1 for a total of $5,025,000. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Questions for Mark? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Next, we have a request for approval of memorandum of understanding between City of Bloomington Utilities and Department of Public Works for utilities infrastructure repairs. Catherine Zager.
Yes, Catherine Zager, Utilities Director. I'm bringing back the MOU between us and DPW concerning an agreement for them to repair the road and pave the road after our infrastructure projects. It includes any asset failure projects and also replacement projects that we may have. We brought this to the board, I think, 2 meetings ago, and it was requested that we include the fiscal impact of the 4 positions we'd be funding, so we've included that. And we also have set an expiration date of January 1st, 2026.
Thank you.
So that we can bring it back to the board and assess how well it's been working for us.
So first of all, thank you very much for listening to our questions and feedback and adding that information to the memorandum. And do we have any questions or comments for Kat? Amanda?
Thank you. So Kat, under the first, the number 1 funding, and I know I was one of the ones that was concerned about the funding. So it's almost $290,000 for wages plus benefits, so that's not including benefits?
No, this includes benefits. Yes,
Okay.
this includes benefits, the
Okay, so
total
what I
cost.
might suggest is that that's reworded for wages and benefits. I think it reads wages plus benefits, just so that we're clear that that is the amount. Because I don't know, Matt, if it didn't include benefits, do we usually, it would have been 30% more than that.
Right.
But I just think it's confusing that it might just a word change, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Other questions? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have requests for approval of agreement for services with Multi-Craft Fire LLC. Phil Peden.
Thank you, Phil Peden with engineering. Yes, this is for Multi-Craft, and they are coming in to make changes to the sprinkler system. This is for the hill and the garage, and it's based on a deficiency from an inspection by the fire department. And the contract is for $27,000. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for Phil? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have requests for approval for services with Office Pride. Matt Havey.
To provide cleaning services for all 3 plants and the service center for next year.
Okay. Questions for Matt? Yes.
So in the claims, there was, I think it was $7,000 for 1 month. Is that about what we're looking at here, $84,000 a year? This
pretty
looks like
close.
a little less than that.
It came in.
No, it's right, I guess it's right at that.
Yeah,
A little less.
it was about the same.
Okay, okay. Yeah, when I saw that and I added up, I thought, that's a fair amount, but yeah, so,
And keep in mind, it is 3 plants in here too, so.
yeah. So is that like 1 person, 1 FTE, or 2 FTEs for these people that do the work?
I don't know about that. I know that when they come here, there's usually 3 or 4 of them that come here.
3 or 4?
Yeah. I don't know how long they're here though.
Yeah,
So.
working half-time or so.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all, thanks.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Other questions for Matt? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have requests for approval of Second Amendment to Agreement with Service with SET Environmental Inc. Isabel Cruz.
Good evening. Isabel Quiroz, Hazmat Coordinator, Environmental. I'm here to request approval of Second Amendment to Agreement for Service with SET Environmental. This is for hazardous waste pickup, transportation, and final disposal for the 3 water treatment plants at the service center. This is for a total of $19,008.80. Any questions?
Questions for Isabel? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've got a quiet group tonight. All right. Next, we have old business. Is there any old business from the board? Old business from staff.
So at the last board meeting, you'd asked about the water use data that went behind our summer sewer averaging. And so we wanted to go ahead and present on the screen here the average monthly single-family residential account usage. Our change to go from June to September to May to August was based on requests and was based on some feedback we'd received. However, here's the data. One point that I think is important to think about is that in August and September, oh, never mind, actually, we accounted for it anyway. So this is the average monthly single-family residential usage. So just thought we'd put this up here for your discussion, thoughts, opinions, input.
The mean of those middle 4 months is quite a bit different than if you include all of them or skew it to one side or the other. I mean, they're all considerably higher than the two endpoints.
Yeah.
Just that's a first observation.
Well, the end point there is October, so.
So you said May through August or June through September, right? Okay, so I'm thinking June through September looks like much more consistent than May through August, just by looking at the data. I don't know.
Yeah.
I defer to Jim, our statistician.
I agree. It looks like June through September would be the logical thing to do. I mean, just looking at the usage.
Yeah. This is why we wanted the board's opinion on it. We wanted to show you the data and take that opinion.
So remind me again, what are we currently,
So,
the rates change for which months?
so currently, we have summer sewer averaging for May to August. The logic behind that was that folks are filling up their pools, it's not going to the sewer, and we just assumed there would be higher usage. But we have this data now, and so maybe our assumptions might not have been correct. We used to have June through September, so the question is, do we stay May through August? Do we move back to June through September?
I just have a really dumb, basic question. Why do we change these rates? Why, I mean, is,
It's because during the summer months, people were, like she said, filling their pools, watering their gardens, watering their grass.
How many people are filling their pools? Like, I just,
I
don't
think
know.
also, watering your gardens.
Yeah, watering your lawn and
things like that don't go
Yeah.
to sewer.
okay, so we don't charge, they get our current ratepayers pay less for sewer in the summer.
No.
They pay more?
No, it's based on the 3-month average usage, and then we applied that number of units for the summer months, no matter how much water they use. So during the non-summer rate months, if you use 4 units of water, we charge you for 4 units of sewer. But during the summer months, if you use 4 units of water, but your 3-month average was 2, we would only charge you for 2, even though you use 4 units of water,
Okay.
right? To account for things that aren't going down the sewer, like watering lawns and gardens and things like that.
And that's then calculated by homeowner, correct? I mean, by ratepayer?
We calculate it and change.
Yeah.
You change everyone's bill, every individual's bill.
Every
is-
summer. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep.
I guess I was never aware of this, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you do use more water, you can see it. We go from 2 to 8 or 9 in the summer.
Wow.
You must be a good gardener or you have a pretty big pool.
Where you wash your car
every day.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of water
For
to,
someone with no pool and no green thumb, I'm like, wow, I have no idea.
it's quite amazing that if you plant a new tree and you just water it, it takes a lot of water.
So what was the question, I mean, again, so we were looking at this because a customer inquired about the rates, correct?
Correct. So last month, we had a petition from a customer just asking us to reconsider the rate change. This was the first year for this implementation.
Correct.
Well,
Yes.
Actually, it hasn't taken effect yet, because we didn't change this summer's
Oh,
process.
So no.
Because we approved this after all that math was done.
Oh.
So when it takes effect, it'll be for next summer.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry. I
it's-
misunderstood. I thought that these were applied
Yeah,
for this
yes.
So
for
it's still,
24.
so it's still June to September?
it was this year.
For 2024.
Yes.
And then for next year, 2025, we moved it from May to August.
Well,
And that's what the consumer was,
Correct.
the ratepayer was asking us about.
Right.
was
Well,
Why
So
we
we have-
made that change.
Right, we have
Right.
customers wanting it to
I
be
mean,
May
that-
through June, we have customers wanting it to be June through September, so.
being a data-driven person, it makes no sense. I mean, look at May.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes no sense, looking at the data.
yeah.
So, can we keep it June to September?
We just have to change rules and regs again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could bring it back.
You know, I don't have a pool either, but I know that a lot of people like to have their pool ready to roll for Memorial Day, like we do in the city, for the city public pools. So I feel like if we, I hate to do this, but like split the difference. So you could, if we did May 15th to September 15th, that would allow us to take care of those folks who do have pools and want to get them ready for Memorial Day weekend and not have to pay the extra
I'd have
wastewater
to-
fee.
I'd have to dig into that to see how that,
simple.
Yeah.
I know,
It depends on your billing cycle.
right.
Right.
I was-
And everyone has a different billing cycle.
what worries me is that we, for those, you know, we had someone talk to us about May, because they like to use a lot of water to fill up their empty pool. We'd have that continuing argument if we left this to a June start.
But if you cut out September, you're gonna have a lot more people.
Yeah, yeah.
playing.
And it's not just
They'll be
pools,
charged
it's,
for-
as you say, it's gardens and car washing and washing your house and, you know, all kinds of pressure washing and all kinds of things. So it's, yeah.
So there's no chance of doing it from May through September,
I'd
making it all 5 months.
prefer we
That would
didn't.
probably cost the city a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know how much that would be, but it would be,
But it's costing them a lot of money for charging for sewer that really isn't used, in a sense. That's how you'd lose your money.
Does it go in the sewer?
no.
No.
It should not go to the sewer. Here's your PSA. So when, at the end of the season, a pool is drained, ideally, it's dechlorinated. And then when that pool is drained, that water is ran through vegetation or something to slow it down, and then it goes to our storm system, because otherwise that would be too much clear water for our sewer system.
to the storm though,
Storm, yeah,
which is a separate fee.
yeah.
Basically true that if we moved it to 5 months, it would take a lot of revenue away from the city, but that revenue would be for sewer charges that aren't really being used. So if I use 2,000 during the winter and April, and then I use 10 in May and 10 in September, it's really for the extra water that I would pay for, but it doesn't really involve sewer use. So I'm just saying that if there's lost revenue, it's,
So, I do think, yes, we have to be concerned about lost revenue if we wanted to extend it to add another month. And one thing that first comes to mind is that when we do this average, we don't know if not all of that is going to sewer, right? We are just trying to do this to account for the fact that some will not. We don't know precisely how much is not going to sewer. It could be, someone has a lot of water usage in the middle of the summer because they love to have parties with lots of people using the bathroom. But you can't, I know it's not that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't know the difference.
Is there any way to measure the amount of water being processed at the plants and get that total and account for I&I, just with some percentage, and then compare that to the water that's going out? And we would be able to tell, maybe not right now,
Yeah.
but after next year, if we did that modeling, we would actually be able to know what's being used and what's going down through the sewer.
Yeah.
It-
I think you could get to something close.
Better than what we have right now. And then so the prices would go up overall per unit of sewer use, but they'd be allocated more realistically for the actual use rather than what's happening now.
And I'm going to make the argument that during the summer, people actually use their toilets less because they're out and about more, and they're visiting, they're on vacation.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I guess what I'm ultimately suggesting is that you got some suggestions from people about May, and you didn't hear anything from people about September because they're happy with what happens now. And as soon as you get rid of September, you're going to hear from a lot of people said, why did you change that? You know, I'm getting charged for 10,000 gallons of sewer when it's really going into my, watering the yard and garden. And so
I think, for me, the most reasonable next step for this is to look at what that fiscal impact actually would be. Because I think that would then
Yeah, we can look at it.
weigh how much further we go with the data. Is it if it's negligible, then maybe we don't put the time, energy, resources into doing these further assessments.
could you also get the data that Jeff suggested? I think that would be really useful.
If it's worth it, yeah.
Right.
Or if it's readily
Or if
available.
it's easy, yeah.
Do we know how much we process per day?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan. So we'll just, to be continued when you have additional information to share with us during old business.
That sounds great.
Okay? Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
thanks
Thank
for-
you.
Thanks for collecting the data and sharing it. It's really helpful
Yeah.
to look at data.
And if we had a couple more years to put up there as well, if that's not hard to do, that would be useful as well, rather than just 2 years.
I'm not sure how much further back we can go with that data.
Oh, because of it's based on our new metering.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Well, we'll know one more year next year.
All right, thank you. Is there any additional old business?
No, that's the
Okay.
extent of my old business.
All right, thank you. Is there any new business from the board? New business from staff? No, okay. Subcommittee reports. The administrative subcommittee met. Chair Molly?
We decided on the new officers, which will be Seth as president and Kirk as vice president, with full board approval, pending full board approval. And we also did committee assignments with a couple of changes to the originally proposed committees, which Frank will make that change. So does
Great.
anybody?
Thank you. Any questions for Molly? Okay, so we have two motions tonight then. So first do we have a motion to approve the recommendations for the officers made by the administrative subcommittee?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And second, do we have a motion to approve the recommendations for the subcommittees made by the administrative subcommittee?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right.
If I may say something
Yes.
on behalf of the administrative committee, just thank you very much, Megan, for doing a wonderful job
Thank
this
you.
year. I think she has served us very well as president.
Thank you.
And we look forward to working with Seth and Kirk
Yes.
in the new, we don't have a meeting yet this year, do we? This is it. So in the
It's
new.
a claims.
It's a claims meeting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get,
Yes, Frank has sent that.
yes.
Maybe there's something else. Maybe I've got a little something to share.
Jim wants
Thank
the
you.
cookies.
Don't lure us out so fast, okay? All right, well, thank you. I'll say more about that in a minute. All right, Kat, are there any staff reports?
Yes.
Right.
Our first staff report. Frank, is the next slide the project highlights? Okay. Our first staff report is just to kind of give an overview of some of the project highlights we've had this year. I think now is a good time to take a look at some of those projects. So I'm just going to read through these. We're welcome to talk about them, but I just wanted to recognize all we've done this year. So we dredged Miller Showers, first time ever. It had been dredged since it was built. You appointed the director for CBU. Thank you very much. We completed the final phase of our Clear Creek Culvert project, which marks the end of a 25-year-long project that started with the Big Dig in the year 2000. We're going to say 25 because it's a clean round number. We overcame some adversity in installing temporary chemical feed lines at Monroe, and just giant kudos to our staff for the just professionalism, the way they reacted, their ability to problem solve on the fly. We have an amazing staff, and I want to really recognize all the work that they've done. I also want to keep note that there are going to be permanent upgrades to our chemical feed line system coming in 2025. We did a water main relocation that was pretty big at State Road 45 in Arlington. We also finished our Southeast Sewer Basin lining project to reduce I&I at Dillman. We adopted Title 13, our new stormwater ordinance. That was a huge undertaking. We completed the initial design phase of the proposed new service center. So that's the 50% design, very staff focused. So we have that to move forward with. We also replaced the bar screens and the influent gate at Dillman, which is massive, both in the effort and literally massive. We rehabilitated the belt press and began using NeoFX for phosphorus removal at Blucher. And then at Winston Thomas, we have prepared that property for future development, which means demoing a lot of the stuff that was on there, cleaning up the site, and getting it into a place where you can look towards the future. And then we also rebuilt our Morningside and Basswood lift stations. So just to highlight some of the things we've done this year, thank you all for your help with that. Yeah, thank you. And
Thank you.
Thanks to all the staff who made it happen.
Yeah. Thank you, Kat, for sharing all those things, because
Yeah.
when you're like day to day, and especially for us that like come in every other week, like you don't, I mean, we hear about it and we are approving it and doing all the things, but like to see it as a list, like, wow, these things were accomplished. It's great to hear and see. Yes.
And not to forget the fact of all of the wonderful work that the team does in repairing sewers and water main breaks and providing us with excellent water every day.
Yeah.
That should not go unnoticed, because it is absolutely vital for our lives here in Bloomington. And that's done every single day, and probably people don't get pats on the back of that every day. But we are so grateful for all of that and everything that the crews do to come out and take care of everything in, with our sewer systems and our water. And let's pray we don't have a very cold winter.
Absolutely. And yes, this is just what we've done on top of the hard work that happens every single day, and just keeping the utility running is hard work. And so I really appreciate you recognizing that on top of, this is in addition to the hard work that happens every day.
Cleaning up other people's messes that
Yeah.
caused for
Yeah.
our wonderful staff, so.
Thank
Yes.
you.
All right. This is going to be a long staff report. We're moving into staff.
Yes,
Oh,
what-
yeah,
Jim's got a
sorry.
comment. Yes.
I would second everything Amanda said, and I would add that one of the important things that allows this organization to be effective and efficient is continuity. And I see the same faces here that we saw last year, well, whether it's engineering or administration, and that's really, really important. So I think you're doing a great job of, keeping the staff here and keeping them together, because any changes make it difficult to keep up the same level of effectiveness. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other thoughts on our year in review? I also wanted to do just a kind of summary, I'm calling it a leafing report. It is a summary on some of the actions we've taken this year, DPW has taken, and also parks as it relates to leaf management now that we're not regularly collecting leaves as a city. So for CBU, we look specifically at the August to November timeframe, and we looked at last year and this year. So last year we had 11 inlet cleaning work orders. 5 of those specifically mentioned leaves. This year during that same time frame, there were 17 inlet cleaning work orders for the same time period, 3 of which were specific to leaves. So just some things to think about with these numbers. So the increases in work orders may not be directly attributable to an increase in need. However, since we are because we were still kind of spinning up CityWorks in 2023, I think we were going pretty well on CityWorks, which is our asset management where we track all of our work orders, but there may still be a remnant of we were still spinning up in 2023. And also, this doesn't necessarily account for time. I think for these work orders, time varies. We didn't have enough data to really have an average amount of time spent, but it can really vary. For example, today we did spend 2 hours cleaning out inlets in one area just to do some localized flooding prevention with all the rain. DPW gave me a little report of what they've been doing as well. So they did 1 round of vacuuming curb lines in the downtown commercial district to collect the leaves from city-owned street trees. They responded to several specific locations in neighborhoods with their vacuum where city street leaves were at collection low points in our system or where they were near storm drains. They also mentioned that the Brighton B-Town, which is a supportive employment program, they collected just under 10,000 pounds of curbline debris and cleaned 541 inlets in 2024. They also wanted to note that sanitation staff, the bag collection has increased substantially in the last 2 years. This year to date, they had collected 25 truckloads at about 10 tons per dump during our leafing season. That was this year. And then before we discontinued the curbside vacuuming of leaves, they would do about 5 to 10 loads per leafing season versus the 25 now. And then Parks just wanted to let us know that when it comes to all of our parks and our trails, they handle all of the leaf cleanup around those properties as well. Happy to have any further discussion about it, but I just kind of wanted to give you a rundown of how that's been impacting the different departments and the actions we've taken regarding leaves.
Yes, thank you. Molly?
So does that mean if leaves are picked up by sanitation, are bags of leaves going to the landfill?
I will have to ask where they take them. I don't.
I mean, I would assume they don't know what's what, right?
Well, they're specific leafing bags.
Oh, still?
I
Okay.
believe he's referring to this report is referring to leafing bags. Yeah.
When you mentioned the work orders, I think you said last year there were 7, and this year 17, or 10, and 17, or 12,
Yeah.
something like that?
Oh, yeah. And so last year we had 11.
11.
That were specific to cleaning inlets.
Uh-huh.
And then 5 of that 11 mentioned leaves
Okay.
in the description.
And these work orders come from and are precipitated by,
Oh, yeah. So we get a work order. They come from what we call a service request. And then those service requests come from either people calling in with complaints, or you reports, or just the various ways that the public can contact us.
mainly public-based, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then how many inlets do we have in our system? Ballpark?
I think that's, I want to say 2,900. Is that close, James?
Yeah. So that's what I thought. So to me, it's just, that's kind of just noise, and those numbers don't mean a whole lot about really what's going on out there in terms of clogged leaves. If we're talking
Yeah.
between 11 and 17, it's not all, I mean, it's data, but there must be some other metric that we have in terms of the amount of leaves that are clogging our inlets, like the amount of work being done by these crews, and how much, the amount of volume of leaves or massive leaves that are being cleaned. Did you mention that, and I missed it?
So we didn't have great data on how many hours were spent. We're still
Hours.
getting better about tracking our hours on work orders.
Uh-huh.
And in fact, and I'm not sure if we're going to be able to pull reports from other departments, but DPW is also moving towards city work, so we'll be able to get better data for their actions as well. So when they're talking about how much they've removed, we could potentially be getting that from these work orders as well.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll know, since we are maybe tracking better now, we'll know in the future, not just for work orders, but how much time those crews are out there cleaning leaves out of the inlets, right? Because all those aren't work order related. We got people just doing that outside of a work order from the public, right?
I think some of our work orders, and correct me if I'm wrong, James, but some of our work orders are created internally. I think a lot of them come from the public, but our supervisors also create work orders for our staff. So some of those may be internally generated, especially this year's.
Well, I mean, if we have 2,900 and there were 11 requests, and maybe they're for specific, or maybe a few, that still seems like a very small amount of the whole picture of what our crews are actually doing. And I guess that's what complaints are interesting, but, you know, the amount of time they're spending cleaning leaves is more important to me.
Yeah,
And seeing that go down because the public is doing a better job and taking care of their own leaves, that's what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And that was the concern we had, right? 2 years ago when we started talking about this. So if we can track that, we're talking about data tonight, track that into the future, that'd be great.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Jim?
Street sweeping, does that deal with leaves as well as debris? I mean, it seems like if they're good sweepers and they go over a storm drain, they would get some or many of the leaves. Do you know whether street sweepers
So, yeah, so with street sweepers, the intent of a street sweeper is not to collect leaves. However, some leaves may get collected by a street sweeper. That's how I like to think about it. We're not sending our street sweepers out with the express intent of collecting leaves. However, I'm sure when we have our routes happen in the fall, they will collect leaves along with whatever other debris is on the street.
So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions for Kat? Well, thank you. Okay.
you. All right. And then the final part of our staff report. We have some congratulations here. First, I really want to take the time to congratulate Joe Werner, who's one of our wastewater plant operators at Blucher Pool. He was recently awarded the Wastewater Operator of the Year by the Indiana chapter of American Water Works Association. And Joe has been with us for 37 years. We're really proud of him, and big congratulations.
Yes.
I also want to congratulate Mel Rosowski. She recently completed the Principles of Occupational Safety and Health certification.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations to Joe and Mel, and maybe that's like a post that we could share on
Yeah.
our page about Joe's accomplishment and recognition. That'd be great. Thank you. Okay. Are there any petitions and communications? All right, then I'm going to share mine now. Okay, so thank you all so much for a wonderful year at the City of Bloomington Utilities. It's been a great honor to serve as the 2024 Utility Service Board President. I was very excited and a little nervous to join the board just before COVID in early 2020. As I tell anyone who I talk to about my role at the USB, I'm no expert in any utilities-related field. I just do my best to review the information and ask questions that the everyday ratepayer might want to know. I'd hoped that I might serve long enough to have the opportunity to be the president, and I can't believe that I'm already here at the end of my officer's term presiding over my last regular meeting. As I've shared at the start of each of our meetings this year, the CBU's mission is to enhance the quality of life in our community by providing safe, sustainable, and high-quality drinking water, wastewater, and stormwater services in a cost-effective manner, promoting public health, economic vitality, and environmental stewardship. There have been a lot of changes at the CBU in the last year, and when I reflect on all that we have accomplished, and thank you, Kat, so much for that wonderful review, in the last 12 months, and the work that we're looking forward to completing in 2025 and beyond, I know that upholding our mission is at the core of each one of those projects, initiatives, and decisions. Thank you to all of our staff members here at the Service Center and at each of our 3 plants. You all provide the most essential service to our Bloomington and Monroe County communities, and we're lucky to have such good people on our team. I want to give a special thank you to the staff members who we regularly see at our and communicate with at our USB meetings. We often have many questions and requests for you, and if you don't have the answer right away, you always take the time to look into whatever it is and get back to us with a thoughtful response, and I very much appreciate you. Thank you to our cats for recording our meetings and helping keep our Bloomington and Monroe County citizens and ratepayers informed of all of the things happening at the CBU. We appreciate this service that you provide for us in our community. Thank you to our ratepayers. We don't hear from you often, but we know it is important when we do. While the outcome might not always be immediate or what you were hoping to hear, please know that we value your feedback on our policies, and we do always try to act with the best interests of all of our ratepayers in mind. Finally, thank you to my fellow board members. I appreciate the experience and expertise each of you bring to this table. In my 5 years at the USB, there have been less than a handful of times where we've been divided on decisions, and most of those occurred this year. While we may not have always agreed, I do know that each of us acted in a way that we thought was best for our ratepayers and the CBU, and we always showed respect toward one another. I find your comments each week insightful and learn something new about the CBU and or our community from at least one of you, either directly or through your questions at every meeting. Thank you for support that you've shown me as president. I am proud to sit at this table with all of you. We have a lot of great things on the horizon at the CBU, at the City of Bloomington Utilities in 2025 and beyond, and I'm excited to continue to have the opportunity to be a part of it all as a member of the Utility Service Board. Thank you all again for everything that you do every single day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for our community. I wish all of you a wonderful holiday and a happy and healthy 2025. And with that, do we have a motion to adjourn? So moved. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Yay. Okay.